Chapter 5, Section 4, Part 1, Point Slope Form. Point slope form is going to be an equation of a line. The equation of a line in point slope form with a slope of m and point at x sub 1, y sub 1 is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Just like with the slope formula, the x sub 1, y sub 1 just reiterates the fact that those two values are coming from the same ordered pair. Your y and your x are always going to be in this formula, or this form of this equation. So you're just going to substitute in whatever your y and x values are in a point of the line, and then you're going to plug in the slope for m. M is the slope. Y sub 1 is the y coordinate from the ordered pair. And x sub 1 is the x coordinate from the ordered pair. This example says a line passes through 1, -4 and has a slope of 3. What is an equation of the line in point slope form? Point slope form, remember we just talked about point slope form. We need to plug in -4 for the y sub 1, 1 for x sub 1, and 3 for m. When we plug in those values, we have y minus -4 equals 3 parentheses x minus 1. We've plugged in point slope form, which is what they've asked me to do. But if you notice, I have y minus a -4. Remember the double negative, or subtracting a negative, is the same thing as adding a positive. So we do want to go ahead and rewrite this equation as y plus 4 equals 3 parentheses x minus 1. That is the equation of this line in point slope form. The next example says a line passes through -8, 3 and has a slope of 2/3. What is an equation of the line in point slope form? In this case, I'm going to be plugging in 3 for y sub 1, -8 for x sub 1, and 2/3 for m. So I have y minus 3 equals 2/3 in parentheses x minus -8. Well, just like in the last example, notice in this case in the parentheses, I have x minus a -8. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive, so I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this as y minus 3 equals 2/3 parentheses x plus 8. When we are graphing from an equation in point slope form, it is going to be very similar to when we were graphing in slope-intercept form, but instead of counting slope from the y-intercept, now we're going to plot the point first and count the slope from the point in the equation. So this example says, what is the graph of the equation y plus 3 equals -2 in parentheses x minus 2? If you notice, from point slope form, I can pull out information that gives me a coordinate for a point on the line and the slope. So a point on the line, my x sub 1 value would be 2, and in this case my y sub 1 value is going to be -3. Remember, in point slope form, we're subtracting y sub 1. So when we have y plus 3, that means we're subtracting a -3. So my y value is negative. The first step I need to take to graph this line is to go ahead and plot that point, which I got from the formula. So I'm just going to go ahead and plot a point at 2, -3. If you notice, the slope of this equation is -2. Remember, when we have a slope that is a whole number, we can always write a whole number over 1 because slope, remember, is rise over run. So in this case, I have my point at 2, -3, And then from that point that I've already plotted, I need to count the slope -2 over 1. -2 over 1 means I need to go down 2 and to the right 1. So from the point to -3, I need to move down 2 units and to the right 1 unit and plot the point. Remember that a -2 over a +1 slope can also be rewritten as a +2 over a -1. So that would mean I need to go up 2 units and to the left 1 unit and plot a point. After I have done this, I have 3 points, just like when we were graphing given slope-intercept form. I would prefer you to have 3 points if possible. So now I've plotted 3 points. So I need to draw my line through, and just like we talked about before, a line extends on and on in 2 directions forever. So the line needs to be drawn in, connecting the 3 points, and there need to be arrows on either side, either end of the line. The next example says, what is the graph of the equation y minus 2 equals -2/5 in parentheses x minus 4? Just like in the last example, when we're given an equation in point-slope form, I need to go ahead and plot the point, and then from that point, I'm going to count the slope. So when we find the point that's given in the equation y minus 2 equals -2/5 x minus 4, my x sub 1 value is a +4, and my y sub 1 value is a +2. So my ordered pair is 4, 2. My first step is to go ahead and plot the point at 4, 2. From that point, I need to count the slope, which in this case my slope is -2 over 5. -2 over 5, remember, can be written 2 different ways. We can write it as a -2 over a +5 or a +2 over a -5. If you look at -2 over a +5, that tells us to move down 2 units and to the right 5 units. But if you look at the graph, there's not enough room on this coordinate plane to move to the right 5 units. So I need to move the other way, which is 2 over -5, which tells me to move up 2 units and to the left 5 units. There is enough room on this coordinate plane to do that. So I'm going to go up 2 units to the left 5 units, and I plot a point. And there is enough room for me to do it again. I'm going to be almost off of the coordinate plane, but I can go up 2 units and to the left 5 units again and plot another point. So I do have 3 points on this coordinate plane. Now that I have my 3 points, I want to go ahead and draw in my line, again making sure that I'm extending my line through all 3 points that I've plotted and putting arrows on the end to indicate that it goes on and on in 2 directions forever. Today's assignment is on page 340, numbers 1 through 18 all.